meeting subject to public meeting law, and it will be recorded. Deliberation of issues will only be conducted by the Telecommunications Policy Committee members unless permitted by the chair. Individuals who engage in disruptive behavior that impedes official business will be asked to stop being disruptive or leave the meeting. Additional measures may be taken to have disruptive individuals removed if their continued presence poses safety to the other person in the room or makes it impossible to continue the meeting. With that, we have a quorum, I believe. Juan, would you do introductions?
Of course. When I call on you, please state your name and who you represent for the record. We'll begin with you, Chair Fletcher.
I'm Mike Fletcher. I'm the chair, and I'm representing Oregon Apgonina.
Member Antoine. I believe he's not here yet. Member Ash.
Sheriff Travis Ash representing OSSA.
Thank you. Member Bell.
Chief Gary Bell representing OACP.
And one of our newest additions, Member Fisher.
Catherine Fisher, representing Dispatch.
Member Hamilton.
Fire Chief Brandon Hamilton representing Oregon Fire Chiefs Association.
Thank you. And then I believe we have Member Long next.
Good morning, Rebecca Long, representing the Oregon Health Authority EMS program.
Thank you. Member Martin.
Greg Martin, public member.
And also to our newest addition, Member Piercy.
Dave Piercy representing Oregon State Police.
And if I'm not forgetting anyone.
No.
Perfect.
No.
Oh, Member Juarez, I believe logged in a little late.
Late entry, Noah Juarez representing Telecommunicators.
Thank you so much. And now for
And
staff
also
introduction.
Rhonda Griffin here, representing Apgonina.
Now for staff introductions. Juan Lopez, Executive Assistant, DPSST.
Eric Goodell, Criminal Justice Support Specialist, DPSST.
Jennifer Lavario, Compliance Coordinator for DPSST.
Marie Atwood, Professional Standards Division Director, DPSST.
Leslie Bacho, DPSST staff.
Cindy Park, DPSST.
Kathy Fink, DPSST. Jennifer Howell, DPSST.
Ben Hamilton, DPSST.
And Catherine McAlpine, Deputy Director, DPSST.
Not too.
Thank you. And a special thanks to the new members of the committee. Really appreciate it. Seriously, we could not do this work unless you guys volunteer to be a part of it. So thank you for your participation. At this point, we need to approve the meeting minutes from May 7th. Has the committee had an opportunity to review those? And if so, I'm looking for consensus. You can either do a thumbs up, or if someone verbally has a suggestion for edits or errors, this is the time to make that happen.
I'll make a motion, Martin, for the record, I make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Thank you, Greg. Looking for consensus, and I see no negative or request for edits, so we're going to approve the minutes as presented. Thank you.
Now we need somebody to second it.
Nope. At this point, in this part, we're just looking for consensus for some portions of this meeting. But we'll walk through it, Greg. We'll get there. Jennifer, I believe we're at a point where we're going to discuss a case.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Good morning, members of the committee. Today we have one case to present to you, that of Samuel McKenzie. The department opened a professional standards review after Samuel McKenzie was cited for hit and run on October 4th, 2024 in Bend, Oregon. On January 15th of 2025, Mr. McKenzie pled guilty to failure to perform the duties of a driver property damage as part of a plea agreement. On April 11th of 2025, the victim in the case signed a civil compromise acknowledging that Mr. McKenzie satisfied the cost of the repair for the damage. On April 14th of 2025, the court dismissed the charge against McKenzie pursuant to the civil compromise. On February 18, 2025, Mr. McKenzie was terminated from the Prineville Police Department, where he was employed as a dispatch director. Mr. McKenzie's termination was the result of an internal investigation by the PPD into his off-duty criminal conduct, as well as policy violations and code of ethics violations. Department's review determined that Mr. McKenzie did violate the board's moral fitness standards as follows. Dishonesty. Mr. McKenzie was intentionally dishonest with the Bend Police Department and during the internal affairs investigation when he claimed he did not know he hit a parked car next to him, which a reasonable person would say, in light of the preponderance of evidence, he did. Mr. McKenzie's dishonesty was intentionally misleading and with regard for the truth. Mr. McKenzie was intentionally dishonest when he left the scene of the accident, knowing he had hit the car next to him and did not perform the lawful duties of a driver. Also, conduct, Mr. McKenzie violated criminal law and has a criminal position for failing to perform the duties of a property damage.
A moment.
Sure.
I want to do something.
While they're discussing, this is Maria, for the record, Juan, did we just have another person enter the meeting? Can we just note that it's for?
For the right, yes. Member Antoine, would you like to do a quick little introduction, Member Antoine?
I'm sorry, I think my connection's spotty. I didn't quite get what you said.
Just a quick introduction.
Oh, Rosie Antoine, I am representing Apconina.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Jennifer.
Sure.
So at this point, I'm asking for a consensus to adopt the record or return the case to staff if additional information is needed. Is the committee satisfied with the report from Ms. Lavario? Looking for consensus?
Yeah. Yes.
Rebecca Long, I motion to accept it.
Thank you. So at this point, we're going to adopt the record as is. We're now moving to open the case up for discussion. This is for discussion of aggravating and mitigating factors. Reminder for the committee, as we move through this and identify mitigating and aggravating factors, please state your name for the record.
Martin, for the record, I found it aggravating that he wasn't just the dispatcher, but he was a director of dispatchers, so it should be setting the example for the subordinates. I also, in and of itself, the fender bender could have been handled obviously a lot better. Where I had a problem was the dishonesty with Ben PD and the internal affairs. Because if this person got subpoenaed and had to testify in court and a defense attorney got a hold of the fact that he lied to authorities before, his credibility wouldn't be very good. And this other part, I don't really know how it affects the case, but not being a citizen, I thought that was interesting. I didn't know if a conviction would affect that in any way.
Thanks, Craig.
You bet.
Is there any other input from the committee members?
Member Juarez, I did struggle to find any mitigating circumstances, but as the investigation did show, he did finally reach a civil compromise with the victim and has now made them whole.
Mike Fletcher, for the record, also mitigating is that at the end, he did take responsibility and plead guilty to the charge of hit and run. Also, to that point, he did make reparations to the victim by paying for the damage of the vehicle. Any other input? Hearing none. Ms. Lavario.
Thank you. I heard for aggravating that, Mr. McKenzie being the director of the dispatcher should have been a better role model. Also the dishonesty with the Bend, Police Department and Internal Affairs, compromises credibility in any future court proceeding. For mitigating, he did reach a civil compromise, making it, the situation whole. At the end, he did take responsibility by pleading guilty to the hit and run, and reparations were made to the victim.
Thank you. Looking for consensus of the committee that the record is complete and the factors are identified in the record.
Martin, for the record, you wrote hit and run. I believe he was convicted of failures to,
Yes,
do the duties of a driver.
Thank you.
thank you. Hearing no objections, we will have a consensus that the record is complete. And now we'll move to open discussion whether there was a moral fitness violation. This is a moral fitness of DPSST and or his agency. Reminder to the following options for formal, geez Louise, options for the moral fitness findings identified in the staff report. And those are affirm, accept it as is. If there needs to be changes, we want to modify the report or negate, remove all factors. So I'm looking for, this is just discussion at this point. Affirm, modify, or negate.
Martin, for the record, I propose we take action.
So we're, thanks, Greg, but we're a little ahead of ourselves. So we need to affirm, accept the report as is, modify, or make changes.
I see.
The sheriff asked for the record affirm.
Thank you.
And member Morris seconds that.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none.
We are voting on a motion to affirm the moral fitness violations as presented. Chair Fletcher,
Aye.
Committee Member Antoine,
Aye.
Committee Member Ash.
Aye.
Committee Member Bell,
Aye.
Committee Member Fisher. Committee Member Griffin,
Aye.
Committee Member Hamilton,
Aye.
Committee Member Juarez,
Aye.
Committee Member Long.
Aye.
Committee Member Martin
Aye.
and Committee Member Piercy.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you. This time we're taking a motion to take action. And or no action.
All right, Martin, for the record, I make a motion, we take action in this case.
So motion to take action. Is there a second?
Bell, second.
Moved and second. Any further discussion?
Voting on a motion to take action. Chair Fletcher,
Aye.
Committee Member Antoine,
Aye.
Ash.
Aye.
Committee Member Bell,
Aye.
Committee Member Fisher,
Aye.
Committee Member Griffin,
Aye.
Committee Member Hamilton,
Aye.
Committee Member Juarez,
Aye.
Committee Member Long.
Aye.
Committee Member Martin
Aye.
and Committee Member Piercy.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you. The committee now has an opportunity to make a determination on the length of revocation. Your options are time of 3 to 10 years, and that's for misconduct. Dishonesty and discriminatory conduct is 3 years to lifetime. Calling for a motion.
Martin, for the record, I know we can't hold it against them for not coming here in person and presenting their case to us. But I kind of wish he had, I would say, now that I've heard mitigating, taking responsibility, because I didn't think that he had, and making good on it, I recommend a minimum of 3 years.
Any discussion, further discussion?
This is Member Juarez, and, I'm kind of junior to this group here. I just think, I know we've had people be dishonest about sick leave, and that was 3 years. And this was dishonesty about a criminal violation. So I feel like more than 3 years is probably appropriate.
What are you saying, like 5?
Well, that's a good question. And I went through some of the earlier cases that the committee's processed before I was on it. And I was trying to find like a good measure to compare this to, but I couldn't find a really good theme. But I did notice 3 years seems to be the baseline, right, for being dishonest. In perhaps like more trivial matters, this seems less trivial because there was actually a criminal element. So I would move we do more than 3 years, but what's appropriate, I'm not certain that I have a good measure for that.
Martin, for the record, I think that we shouldn't go to lifetime because it didn't happen on the job.
Piercy, for the record, I agree with Juarez. 3 years does seem insufficient considering that this was criminal in nature and the duties and responsibilities of a manager, public safety official, which includes, if not directly, but implied to protect vulnerable people. And that seemed to be absent in the initial stages of this situation.
Do you have a recommendation for time?
Hey, this is Bell.
Aye.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna say 5 years seems more appropriate to me, but I'm not familiar with what the standard is in comparative cases.
Martin, for the record, I agree with that.
Mr. Bell?
Yeah, thank you. What I wanted to say was, I think I'm less concerned, and when I say this, don't misunderstand that I'm flippant about a criminal act, but I think that the moral fitness issue that
Member Bell, are you still there? Member Bell, we can't hear you
5-year
anymore.
suspension. Can you hear me now?
Chief, you keep going on and off audio, and so we've missed the majority of your comments.
I apologize. I'll make a motion, 5-year suspension.
Thank you.
Sheriff Ashton.
There.
Second.
Thank you. It's moved in second. Any further discussion? Call for the roll.
We are voting on a motion for a 5-year ineligibility period. Chair Fletcher,
Aye.
Committee Member Antoine,
Aye.
Ash,
Aye.
Committee Member Bell,
Aye.
Committee Member Fisher,
Aye.
Committee Member Griffin,
Aye.
Committee Member Hamilton,
Nay, I don't think it's long enough.
Committee Member Juarez,
Aye.
But that was for long, aye.
Committee Member Martin
Aye.
and Committee Member Piercy.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you. This point, I'm going to turn over to Jennifer Howland regarding proposed rule changes for Oregon Administrative Rule OAR 259-006-0010.
Morning. Thank you, Jennifer Howell, for the record. Chair Fletcher, members of the committee. This administrative rule, the 259-006-0010, was adopted in 2020 to establish the Applicant Review Committee. The rule outlines the purpose and membership of the committee, which is more commonly known as its abbreviation, ARC or ARC. The Applicant Review Committee was specifically designed to review professional standards cases for individuals who have just been hired in public safety, but they have a criminal history that occurred before they were ever involved in public safety. The committee itself generally meets on a monthly basis. Through this rule and Oregon Administrative Rule 259-008-0290, the board delegated the authority to deny training and certification for these specific cases to the Applicant Review Committee. This means that the committee's vote to take no action or to take action to deny does not require subsequent approval by the board. This delegated authority and the meeting frequency ensures that cases are reviewed in a timely manner, and the new hire can proceed with their basic training without significant delays once they've made it through the process. Since 2023, DPSSD began facilitating a work group to review the current moral fitness standards and processes. This included discussion about the Applicant Review Committee membership criteria. After reviewing the current membership requirements, the work group recommended 3 changes related to ARC member criteria. As you're looking in your memo at the administrative rule language on page 2, the first recommendation was to change the board member position from a public member to any board member. Changing the designation from a public member to any of the board members does not preclude a public member from the board or a policy committee from being nominated and appointed to the Applicant Review Committee. In fact, it's actually quite common that a public member from one of the policy committees serves on the Applicant Review Committee, and there are 2 right now. In section 3, the second recommendation was deletion of the subsection B, which is shown with strike through, to remove the prior policy committee experience requirement. While this requirement was initially intended to ensure that ARC members had experience reviewing professional standards cases and familiarity with committee review processes, the requirement has proven to be more restrictive than necessary. In section 3, the third recommendation was to delete the subsection E, again with strike through language, regarding the option to vacate a policy committee member position. At the time the committee was established, there was concern that perhaps taking on the additional responsibility would take too much time and work of the individual who is, of course, volunteering their time. But no one has exercised this option in the many years that the committee has been operating, and it's been determined to be just a confusing part of the rule and unnecessary to the process. You'll see just a few additional amendments in section 3A and the renumbered section B. These include amendments that provide additional clarification for the nomination and appointment processes, and they support the implementation of the recommended changes. DPSST had the opportunity to share these as draft rule changes with the Applicant Review Committee and the work group that is reviewing the moral fitness standards. We did that in November and December of 2024. Neither group had any additional membership changes or recommendations to make and supported moving forward with the rule changes. Timing wise, we didn't bring it forward earlier because we pressed pause on all of the moral fitness rule changes and the committee process while we were engaged in the legislative session. So now we have the opportunity to bring it forward to you today. A quick note that there were no fiscal or economic impacts identified for the rule change. And that completes all of my prepared remarks. I can happily answer any questions. And you have action items on page 3. Thank you.
Martin, for the record, I agree with this change, and I'll tell you why. I was the chair of the very first applicant review committee, and there was only 2 of us on the corrections policy committee that had a term under our belt. I wanted it, but the assistant director from our department did not, and he was stuck. And I think we have a better committee for people that want to be there.
Thanks, Greg. Any other comment? Input?
Member Juarez, I'm sorry, I know I talk more than most. I am curious just on the background. I'm not opposed to any of this, but with the removal of the guaranteed public member, I know we still have 2 public members on the current ARC. I guess my first question is there a scenario where we would have no members from the public on the ARC? And then second, related to that is, I was just curious about the background as to why we want to remove the guarantee of having at least 1 public member on it.
Thank you, Jennifer Howell, for the record. When it was first established, so the entire makeup of the applicant review committee is 2 representatives from each of the 3 policy committees, the Telecommunications, Corrections, and Police Policy Committee. And they wanted to have at least 1 member from the board because of that delegated authority to the applicant review committee. At the time, it was suggested that it be the public member of the board, first to ensure public member participation or the opportunity for public member participation. But one of the challenges over time is that while we have 3 public member positions on the board, there have been significant vacancies in those 3 member positions over this span of time when we're looking at from 2020 to present. As well as the fact that, again, for the board and for the policy committees, everyone is volunteering their time to participate. And it is not expressly stated when you are volunteering and becoming a member of the board that this would be a responsibility that you would be taking on. So it was kind of an after the fact, hey, welcome to the board. Now we need you to serve on this committee and this committee and this committee. And not every public member had the interest or the availability to do so. So the answer to your question is yes. These rule changes would leave it open-ended, and there could be a time in the applicant review committee where all of the members are in the public safety family and not have a public member. Because there would no longer be a specific public member requirement.
Okay, thank you for that background.
Absolutely.
Mike Fletcher, for the record, just curious why the fire discipline is not included.
Thank you. Jennifer Howell, for the record, the Fire Policy Committee is not a part of the Applicant Review Committee because this Applicant Review Committee only receives the criminal justice public safety applicants. So that includes the telecommunicators, emergency medical dispatchers, the corrections officers and parole and probation officers, police officers, and regulatory specialists. And those fall within the 3 corrections, police, and telecommunications policy committees.
Martin, for the record, question, does the ARC meet monthly? Yeah, that's.
Thank you, Jennifer Howell, for the record. It is tentatively scheduled to meet monthly. And then if there is a time period where we don't have any cases that need to move forward or cases that aren't ready to move forward, then it doesn't meet. So it doesn't meet every month. But they're prepared to meet monthly. And it's usually just a handful of cases, 1 or 2.
That's a commitment they're making, is to be available to meet monthly.
Correct.
Any other input? Thank you. And then a question for clarification. Jennifer, you stated that there is no fiscal impact to this change, recommended changes. So is there a need, I'm looking for rules here, is there a need to discuss and or get consensus on the fiscal impact?
Yes, Chair Fletcher, Jennifer Held for the record, we do request the committee's consensus because perhaps we didn't identify something that you did.
Okay.
And so if there are thoughts that there would be a fiscal impact, then it would be an opportunity to amend.
Discuss. Okay. Thank you. So with that said, seeking consensus from the committee members to affirm or amend the fiscal impact statement prepared by staff.
Well, Martin, for the record, it would be some cost, but it would be minimal to reprint everything in correctly.
Noted.
Your seat for the record, I vote to affirm.
A thumbs up or other comments? Looking, and it looks like we can move that as prepared, approved by the committee. Now moving, asking, geez Louise, it's Monday, right? Motion to recommend to the board public DPSST to approve the filing of proposed rule changes for OAR 259-006-0010 as present.
So moved. For Hamilton, for the record.
Thank you.
Your seat for the record, second.
Thank you. It's moved in second. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
We are voting on a motion to recommend the board approve filing of the proposed rule changes for OAR 259-006-0010 as a permanent rule. Chair Fletcher?
Aye.
Committee member Antoine?
Aye.
Ash?
Aye.
Committee member Bell?
Aye.
Member Fisher?
Aye.
Committee member Griffin?
Aye.
Committee member Hamilton?
Aye.
Committee member Juarez?
Aye.
Committee member Long?
Aye.
Committee member Martin?
Aye.
And committee member Piercy.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Again, we're going to entertain Jennifer Howland to discuss proposed rule changes for Oregon Administrative Rule 259-008-0085-20.
Thank you, Jennifer Howland, for the record. Chair Fletcher and members of the committee. DPSST identified a need to provide more clarity to the rules and processes that guide how and when a student is required to make up missed training. DPSST refers to this process as a form of remediation. So you'll use makeup training and remediation, and they're interchangeable in this discussion. Per rule, all students are required to complete the basic training course to meet the minimum standards for certification. That's essentially what Section 20 of this rule currently states. This includes completing the course in its entirety and meeting the student performance measures such as testing and skills performance. However, it's important to recognize that there may be circumstances that result in student absences, and that's commonly things like court appearances, short-term illnesses, and some injuries. There are also circumstances when DPSST, as the training facilitator, has to modify a schedule, and that has occurred in the past, either due to severe or inclement weather, and sometimes instructor availability. We have to change things around. Over time, DPSST noted differing interpretations of the rule language, which resulted in inconsistent outcomes related to making up that missed training. After reviewing rule history and current practices to determine how to clarify the rule and its interpretation moving forward, DPSST identified the following key points. All training must be remediated. This includes absences and training schedule modifications that result in missed training. We wanted to recognize that some remediation can be completed in less time than the hour for hour increment. So if a class has a 4-hour time period to it, a one-on-one remediation may not take as long as the 4 hours that it takes to deliver to the entire class. But there are still some skills or topics that will require the hour for hour. So we wanted flexibility with that. And then finally, the essential requirement is that the public safety officer receives the full breadth of training content that's been included in the board-approved course. Meaning staff do not have the discretion to determine whether missed instruction requires remediation. All missed training must be reviewed and completed as directed by the department. So you have the rule language on page 2 and 3 of your memo. Again, it's an extensive expansion of the current rule, but it's meant to provide that clarity and codify our current practices for consistent application in the future. I do want to note that section 20 and its subsections A and B apply to all students, meaning DPSST Academy students and the DOC Basic Corrections or BCC students. Subsection C is adding a process that applies to the DPSST Academy students. So because DOC is delivering their BCC course to their employees, they retain the discretion on the processes that they put in place for completing that remediation training that will meet the standards that are set forth in 20A and B. Before I move on to fiscal impact statements, I wanted to pause to see if there were any questions or discussions on the rule language that's presented in the memo.
Chair Fletcher, Kath McAlpine for the record, can I just add a little bit more to this, just for historical? For the committee to take into consideration, this is a perfect example of standards and certs that really have to make sure that we adhere to our rules and to sign off and make sure we're in compliance. They started knowing some discrepancies in interpretation, had meetings with training, and again, Jennifer in that room, to really understand what the intent of the rule was and to provide clarity. Because also agencies were starting to interpret that they could let their staff go because it's only 10%. And so this is a pretty significant rule modification or clarification that I think is going to benefit all of us and our constituents. So just I appreciate the work of the staff on both sides of the house to really bring us back together and what the intent of basic instruction is all about. Thank you, Chair.
Mike Fletcher for the record. I'm historically very familiar with this topic, the 10% rule. It's renowned, and I appreciate what staff has done to help eliminate the subjective into an objective and consistent across the agency. So I appreciate that. Any other comments? Jennifer, fiscal impact?
Okay, thank you. The fiscal impact for these rule changes is indeterminate. There's always been a fiscal impact to DPSST and an employing agency when there's a requirement to do remediation training. Most of that falls into remediation training that has to occur after an academy has ended and a student has to come back and perhaps go through the firearms training or the EVOC course, something like that. It's not as common with classroom training hours because those are easier to coordinate while the student is still on campus before they return back to their agency. The processes that are codified in the rule are not expected to have an effect on the costs that are associated with making up missed training, but these clarifications may result in an initial increase in the number of remediations that occur. The fiscal impact statements in the memo outline several factors that contribute to the indeterminate cost. And to quickly summarize, it includes staff time to coordinate and deliver a makeup training, whether the training can be made up while at the academy, if the remediation occurs after the academy. There could be additional employer factors such as scheduling that would allow their student to do training while another person covers the work at the agency, and then geographic location, how much time and distance for traveling to complete. Another factor is that DPSST recently implemented a policy that allows makeup training to be conducted locally to help offset the travel costs and then to be able to conduct remediations in a more timely fashion. But then there's an offset cost to DPSST to engage in those regional training resources in order to make that happen. Your memo also identifies a list of entities that may be affected by the fiscal impact statements. And essentially that's any state agency or local government that employs public safety officers. For state agencies, it would include Oregon State Police, Department of Corrections, Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission, the Board of Post-Prison Supervision, the Department of Justice, and the Oregon Judicial Department. For cities and counties, it would be any police department, sheriff's office, dispatch center, or community corrections agency. It may impact tribal governments with public safety officers who are certified by DPSST, and then as well as the Oregon Health Sciences University that has a police department and the public universities with police departments. We did not identify fiscal or economic impacts for members of the public, and we did not identify any small businesses that would be affected by the rule changes. Those are the prepared remarks. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Mike Fletcher for the record. So this is a plus and a minus, and I have a question at the end. There's an opportunity here. One of the shining stars of this agency is the regional training. This agency actually going out physically and touching our customers, right? All across the state. And this is an opportunity for them to facilitate remedial training across all disciplines. I could see where you're touching corrections, you're even touching telecom to remediate missed classes and stuff. Where I see a problem, and I've thought about this, how do you correct this? If they're in the academy and they're missing time that needs to be made up to get their full certification, how does that impact graduation? I don't know.
Thank you for the question. The individual still gets to participate in the graduation process. Their training record remains incomplete until they've had the opportunity to make up all of the missed training.
Okay.
Yeah, so it just kind of puts that part on hold, puts the certification part on hold until everything is completed. But we don't have individuals who are prohibited from being in the ceremony and walking across the stage and receiving all of it.
Scarlet letter on there. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Piercy, for the record with the question, possibly for only my education. Public safety officer has a pretty broad definition in the rest of the rules, and we're having this discussion in the Telecom Policy Committee. Is it fair to say that this proposed rule change is going to be heard by the other committees?
That is correct. Yes, we'll take it to the Corrections and the Police Policy Committee at their meetings this month. And then after all three committees have heard the proposal and made their recommendations to the board, the next step for this and the previous rule change is that we'll then file it as a proposed rule change with the Secretary of State, and it becomes open for public comment. So that all constituents in the state as well as public can, if they have any questions, concerns, or see an additional change or fiscal impact, they have the opportunity to participate in that process. Once that completes, if there is public comment, we have to determine, does it continue on to the board or does it have to come back for additional discussion? If there isn't any public comment, then your recommendations and the rule change proceed on to the board. We're in August, so it would be the October board. And once the October board has had a chance to approve the recommendations and the rule language, then it would go forward as a permanent rule change.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other input, comments?
Member Fisher, I just have a couple clarifying questions regarding remediation being conducted in a manner determined by the department and also in determining how to remediate incomplete training. The sub things listed here seem somewhat subjective as far as there's no specific check boxes that will determine one of these options or the other? Is there something further breaking down what would constitute the different subcategories under each of those?
Thank you, Jennifer Howell, for the record. I will start with an answer, and then if Deputy Director McAlpine or Director Castle wants to add, they can definitely add. So the language is a bit purposefully broad because we want to look at each student on a case-by-case basis. So what has caused the absence? Is it a long-term illness or injury? Is it something that we can handle quickly? And then it's also to lend to that flexibility of, do we complete it before they leave the academy, or do we complete it after they leave the academy? If we have to complete it after the academy, is it something that we can meet the student where they are, or does the student have to come back to use our facilities to complete? The parts about when to join another class or when to start over, more than likely not as applicable to the telecommunications and the emergency medical dispatch community as well as it is for the police class and the corrections class, which have a much longer term at 5 weeks up to 16 weeks. And that's where that would apply. So in those instances, the academy is really seeking to make sure that the student is going to receive the best training possible. Sometimes that will be, an injury is the most common example, an injury that prevents them from participating in all of the skills. It may be easier to have them return to their agency after so it's like it happens in the 6-week mark for the basic police course. And then whenever they're ready and cleared to come back, they may be able to join the next class again at that 6-week mark and pick up where they left off. But if it's been over a year because it was an extensive injury that required a surgery and a healing and a process, I'm thinking of a knee. Everyone dislikes a knee injury, but then it may be time to have that person start all over from the beginning, just to ensure that they have the freshest and most complete training experience possible.
Bill Castle, for the record, said that exactly right. Thank you, Jennifer. So there's such a broad variety of reasons and gaps in training that could occur. I mean, we operate by a few things. First and foremost, our two guiding principles, one being safety of our staff and students. We want them to be safe. They want them to train safe the best we can. However, we do dangerous training here, and it can result in injuries. We mitigate that frequently and always, but on occasion you do have injuries. Number two, the thing we operate on is quality. We want people going back to their agencies with the proper training that they should have received, that is going to make them able to start off in their profession with the skills that they're required to have and that they need to have. But we also operate off of the third thing, and that is we are very aware of agencies, and we don't want to inconvenience an agency. We don't have to. It costs an agency money to have their student here at this academy, and we are very aware of that. If we can avoid having them repeat the class or having to come back here, we'll do everything in our power to make sure that that happens, including our regional team, as Chair Fletcher mentioned, being the ones to go out and mitigate if they're appropriately trained to do so. Again, falling back to our guiding principle number 2 is quality. And if we don't have anybody on our 5-person regional team who's qualified to do the particular event, then we either will send an instructor from here if we have it, or our last resort would be to ask that student to come back here. But again, the different circumstances, they're so broad in whatever that particular student needs that, and we really try to avoid having the student repeat the course unless absolutely necessary.
Thank you for those clarifications.
Any other input? Hearing none, I'm looking for consensus to affirm or amend the fiscal impact statement prepared by staff? Looking for a thumbs up. Thank
Rebecca, I'll
you.
confirm. Rebecca Long.
Thank you. We have consensus. At this point, I'm looking for a motion to recommend to the Board of Public Safety Standards and Training to approve filing as proposed in rule change for OAR 259-008-0085, section 20 as a permanent rule. Is there a motion?
Piercy, for the record, with the motion to recommend.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Martin, I'll second.
Thank you, Greg. Is there any further discussion?
We are voting on a motion to recommend the board approve filing the proposed rule changes for OAR 259-008-0085, section 20 as a permanent rule. Chair. Committee member Antoine,
Aye.
committee member Ash.
Aye.
Committee member Bell,
Aye.
committee member Fisher,
Aye.
committee member Griffin,
Aye.
committee member Hamilton,
Aye.
committee member Juarez,
Aye.
committee member Long.
Aye.
Committee member Martin
Aye.
and committee member Piercy.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Thanks again, Jennifer. We're at agency updates. Is that you, Director Castle?
I'll get it started.
All right.
There'll be far better people to follow me here after this chair. Phil Castle, for the record, thanks for the opportunity. Chair Fletcher, to give a short update, and I'll be followed by Deputy Director McAlpine. First, I'd like to start off and say, when I walk in this room every single time, there's a bit of reverence that I feel walking in this room because of what happens within these walls, and also because the people who are sitting within these walls and remotely, and what you are committing to and sacrificing to do this. So I'm extremely grateful for you all being here. The time that it takes to prepare for these is extensive. I know it is, and you all have other things to do. And you have, no one here has nothing to do in their life, and you have very busy jobs and so forth. So I'm super grateful for that. I also want to thank the staff. Not only do they do this policy committee, but 4 others and a board. And there's a lot of work that goes into preparing for these things. So I'm really grateful for the staff. So thank you so much for what you're doing here, what you have done. And as you see, they show up ready and they show up professionally, and I'm super grateful for that. And on that note, we have a person amongst us who is leaving and who has completed their service, and we are very grateful for their service. Rebecca Long, 4 years of doing this, and thank you so much for your commitment and what you've brought to this policy committee and to the board as a whole. We have a certificate here for you, which we will mail to you, and a letter of appreciation and commendation for your service to the policy committee. So thank you so much. We will get this to you, and congratulations on your service. That won't be forgotten.
Thank you very much. It's been great serving on this committee. Thanks.
I don't have a big agency update for you, just to say that we are marshaling around our budget. We are starting to look at diving into the procurement process for a learning management system that we did get as a result of legislative session. So we're very happy about that. That is going to change the whole landscape of DPSST and what we do. I will leave it at that, but before I turn it over to Kathy, I want to ask if there are any questions of me, anything I can answer for the policy committee at this moment. Hearing none.
Thank you, Director. Again, Captain McAlpine, Deputy Director, transitioning out from professional standards and turning the helm over to Marie. My last duty on that regards is in your book. I just want to call attention to the tab that talks about compliance checks. And for those who've been in the committee for a long time, you may see some formatting change where through Kathy Fink's leadership, we wanted to add, well, okay, when somebody is only 88% compliant or 60%, we never close the circle with the committees to show that we follow up, that they do become, come into compliance. And so there's a line on each one of those tabs that says, as of a certain date, now they're up to maybe 98.9. So again, just being a little bit more transparent on what we do behind the scenes to really work with the agencies to become 100% compliance is, of course, the goal. And then my area is training now in the Center for Policing Excellence. So there will be times where I'm just going to ask some staff to come in and give some updates. As you know, again, Kathy Fink has transitioned from standards and certs to now officially the telecommunications coordinator. Obviously, most of you know her with 30 years of telecommunication experience, and I've asked her to give a few quick updates. So Kathy, if you don't mind.
No, I don't. Thank you very much, Kathy. Thank you for the record. I'm excited to be in this position, obviously, but I'm going to give a couple things that we've already kind of made some changes to that you'll start seeing in some of the communications that are coming out to your agencies as you're getting ready to send your staff here. One of the things that we mentioned in a past meeting was that we had our first challenge to the telecom course. And I just want to report back to you that it was very successful. The process went really well. We had kind of dived into it pretty deeply because of the journaling and the additional work that is required in telecom that hadn't been in the past. We kind of had to look at it differently. And what we kind of laid it out to be worked out really well. The person was really successful. So that's a plus for us as a team. As I've started over in the process, one of the first things that I was kind of approached about was kind of a need when they do their village scenarios to find a way to, I guess, make the experience better for the individual that's down there. There seems to have been kind of some more downtime that wasn't anticipated when the curriculum was placed together. It does require quite a heavy lift on additional staff to make it happen, and the use of space in the village. And when we have larger class sizes here in multiple disciplines, it gets really full down there. So I've been working with the coordinator in the village and our scenario writer, and we are going to pilot for our next class, BT 149. Kind of an immersion training where they're going to be working with the BP students, the police students in their scenarios. So they'll have an opportunity to ride in the car, hear the dispatch, hear the officer go through and kind of follow them through this process and the debrief. So they'll have the opportunity to kind of learn with them, and then we'll have our own debrief at the end. When they're not in the patrol cars, we're going to set up in the professional building in one of the classrooms. We're going to set up tabletop exercises because one of the requirements for telecom is 6 topics that need to be covered while they're in the village, and we can't guarantee those scenarios are the ones the officers are working on. So we'll make sure that those are the ones covered during the tabletop. And we're going to go through the process where they are their own role player. One of them will take a phone call. They'll pass it on to the person who will practice the dispatch. And then we'll have that conversation about things that went well, what we could do different in a call take to make the officer's experience better in the field. So they'll have far less downtime because of that. We will not need as many resources because we'll be utilizing resources that are already established for the police officer training. And then we'll have that kind of immersion. They'll have an exposure. We're going to flip where right now the students are 8 hours in the classroom and then 8 hours in the village. We're going to do 4 and 4 so they kind of can have, that way they're seeing 2 different police classes and they'll have an opportunity to see 8 scenarios live. And then they'll have the tabletop time for the other half of the, I guess, quarter of the day. So we're kind of looking forward to seeing how that works. This class worked well schedule wise to make this happen. Future schedules don't align the same. So again, this is going to take kind of a bigger lift and a kind of an agency discussion. But we've got some good ideas, I think, from the folks that work here in training, and we're looking to make it a good experience. The only other thing that we've got kind of on the plate right now is we're sending out communication that Telecom is going to have the option to wear either the agency uniform here or their business casual clothes, like the EMD class does. Any questions?
And just clarify, that was based on participation surveys. I mean,
Correct.
that they were asking for this and
Correct.
we're looking into that.
Yeah, and so they'll have the option. So that's nice that, you know, if someone doesn't have a wardrobe of business casual, because we know dispatchers like their yoga pants and hoodies, and that's not necessarily business casual. So if you want to wear a uniform here, you sure can.
Thank you, Kathy.
I have a question for this Kathy.
Yes.
Where are you going to, ma'am?
Well, you know, I'm right next to the director, so yeah, all duties assigned. So I am the deputy director. So my area of responsibility is fire, training, and Center for Policing Excellence. And so I move away from professional standards to those disciplines. And all other duties assigned as the director allows. So
I was wondering if you're retiring.
Yeah, I seem to have a problem with that, so I'm okay right now, but thank you for asking. At this point, again, look forward to providing you updates in those disciplines. And then I'm gonna turn it over to Director Atwood for her updates.
Thanks so much, Kathy. Marie Atwood for the record. This being my first telecom policy committee meeting, I would just like to say hello to everyone. We have a lot of folks online. At some point, I would love to meet you all in person, but in the meantime, I just wanted to say thank you for the introduction. I'm very happy and eager to begin this new role and working with all of you during our policy committee meetings. I would like to echo some things that have already been said. Of course, Phil's comments, thanking everybody for their time and participation today. Thanks to our team for all the work that you do. I would like to again welcome new member Piercy and congratulate and say goodbye to Rebecca and thank you for your service. And on the topic of welcomes, I also want to kind of introduce Ben Hamilton, who is sitting in the corner of the room. So with Kathy Fink departing in her role, Ben is going to be stepping in as our new manager for our criminal justice certification program. I'm really excited to have him on board. Not to put you on the spot, in case you don't have any comments prepared.
I have no.
But yeah, everyone just for your awareness, Ben is the newest member of our team, and we're very happy to have him along. In terms of division updates, there is not much else aside from kind of shuffling of people, but we are right now kind of embarking on a journey moving toward a new case management system. So our team has been using a couple sort of a hodgepodge of different softwares to manage how our cases are processed and how our workflows work in the professional standards world. We are hoping, if all goes according to plan, to jump into merging the case management software we use with our training division software so that everything that we do here at DPSST and hopefully everything that our public facing platforms provide can all be sourced through the same system, and the company is called Cadus. It's very early days. We are still exploring options in terms of what this could look like and whether or not this system will work for us, but I am hopeful that it will. And as we get more updates coming forward, I will keep this committee and all of our committees posted. That's all I have for today.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Kathy, Phil, Marie, that's great. Is there anything good of the order from the committee? Hearing none. We'll close this meeting. Reminder for everyone, our next Telecom Policy Committee meeting will be November 5, same time, 9 a.m., and it'll be a hybrid meeting. So thank you, everybody.
We need these, right?